So my good friend Derek Callow, who runs marketing here in Southeast Asia, he said, Michael, we're having an event in Singapore. It'd be great for you to come down and talk about the Google Display Network. Now, immediately I said, and Perry brought this up, are people going to know what the Google Display Network is? You even mentioned it several times. I figured people might be more familiar with the Google Content Network. So for those of you that are not avid readers and subscribers of the Inside AdWords blog, you may have missed that 2 weeks ago we actually renamed the Google Content Network to the Google Display Network. Now this may not seem like a big deal, right? It's just a renaming, a rebranding of something. 2 weeks ago, nothing material changed with the product. It's the exact same product. The features are exactly the same. What changed was a name, Content to Display. But I think this is actually pretty significant because it marks a shift in focus and energy. This is why we're thinking about display, because we as a company and organization are excited about the display advertising ecosystem. And at Google, we are excited to partner with all of you about that ecosystem. So that's why I wanted to come here and talk to you today. And with that in mind, I want to talk about our vision and strategy for display advertising online and talk about a few of the enhancements that we've made on our display network. And I'll let some of the later sessions dive a little bit deeper into the car and look at some of the parts. So, June 29th, I think that's the date, 2010, we're here at the ACM, Asian Civilization Museum, to talk and think about display. Why now? I just mentioned 2 weeks ago that we changed the name, but I want to share a stat with you, and this is actually a US stat, which I think is interesting to talk about because I think it shows where we're probably going, because the market's a little bit more mature, at least within Google. 94 of the top 100 Ad Age advertisers ran a display campaign on the Google Display Network in the past 12 months. And I can tell you this is a dramatic shift, right? So I don't know who the other 6 are, but I can guarantee you their account teams are talking to them right now about it. But 94 of the top 100 Ad Age advertisers are running display on the Google Display Network. And this is a dramatic shift from where we've been. And I can tell you right now, and I'll let this stuff come up, don't worry too much about what's going on behind me. When I started working on display at Google 3 years ago, I can tell you this was not the case. 94 of the top 100 Ad Age advertisers were not running display with Google because the network just did not work. It did not work for display. And we talked to people who said, hey, maybe Perry was one of the clients, hey, talk about the content network. You should try it. Oh, I tried it. It doesn't work. Over the past year and a half, our product team has worked tirelessly, and I really mean this, to bring the features, the product set, and the solutions into place to make display on this network work. And I'm not going to walk through these actual features that you can see that have been enhanced over the past year and a half. I think we're going to have a lot of sessions over the remainder of the day kind of deep diving into this. But what I want to leave you with is the key message that we were serious about it. We heard that feedback from our customers, and over the past year and a half, these changes have been made, and the network really is ready. And that's why we wanted to talk about this with you today. So, I'm not going to talk about the features. I want to talk a little bit about the vision and the strategy. And when we talk about that vision, that strategy, it can really be summed up in 3 words. Simplify, performance, and open. So what do I mean? Simplify. Display advertising can be kind of complicated, right? There are thousands of websites to choose from. Think about your own personal experience. How many you're browsing, you're searching, you're going all over the place. As a marketer, how do you know which website is going to make sense? Where is your customer spending the time? For a specific campaign, which is the right website to launch that new product? Which is the right website that's going to hit that CPA target that you need to hit? Now, once you've made that decision about which website you actually want to run your advertising on, how do you build that creative and then take that 300 by 250 or whatever size it is, how do you get that ad up onto that site? Right? You have to make phone calls, emails back and forth, right? Faxes. Faxes still exist in this industry, right? And so we believe that technology can really make a big difference in simplifying the display business. And at Google, we believe we're a pretty good technology company. We feel that we can really lead in simplifying that space and making it easier not only to buy, but also to sell display advertising. So once we've made it easier and simpler to buy and sell display advertising for advertisers and publishers, what's that next step? Performance. How do we make it easier to perform for all of you, for the advertisers and agencies? Once it's easy to buy, how do we make sure that what you bought actually performs? And not only does it perform, but that you can measure that performance. Right? So that's crucial. And what do I mean by performance? Well, it depends on the nature of the campaign. There are tons of different examples. Perry was talking about that, some of them. You know, for what we call brand advertisers, maybe it's a movie studio launching a brand new movie, and in addition to supplementing their TV and offline buys, they want to hit as many people online as possible in that week leading up to the movie. You know, Toy Story, I saw so many Toy Story 3 ads last week. Did everybody see Toy Story 3? I cried, seriously. Andy's all grown up and going to college. It makes me feel old. So that, you know, that's that brand advertiser, right? But some objectives might be, you know, I'm an online retailer. I sell hats. I need to get you to click on this ad and come to my store and buy that hat. So the idea is, how do we get it and how do we develop the tools to make sure no matter what your marketing objective is, we have the features, which you'll hear about later today, to provide a solution for you, not only to make sure that the campaign is performing, but you can measure that performance as well. Now the third bucket is open, and I think this is really important. We talk about this all the time at Google. Once we make it easier to buy the advertising and simpler, and that we can make sure it performs, let's open up that ecosystem to everyone. No matter if you're a huge publisher that gets millions and millions of unique visitors to your website every day, a small blogger, you should be able to have display campaigns on your website that work. And as a marketer, advertiser, and agency, whether you're a big brand or a small online retailer or a mom and pop shop, display can work for you too. And I think that's where, you know, Google's had a lot of success with Google AdWords and search. And we want to bring that scale and that openness to display as well. So that's the vision. Now what I want to talk about is performance, and performance on the Google Display Network. If there's one thing that you take away from all of this talking and slides that I'm sharing with you right now, it's this. The Google Display Network is a performance network. We truly believe that with all the enhancements that we've made, the Google Display Network delivers measurable performance across advertising needs, as I mentioned. And how are we able to do this? It's by harnessing the power of our targeting technology. And you're going to hear about some of that targeting technology later today. Whether that's pioneering targeting technology at Google, like contextual targeting and the power of our keywords and that portion, or things we've recently launched like interest-based advertising and remarketing, where you can reach customers that maybe came to your website and you can develop that audience list and touch them again. All right, and the key thing is, with all of that, making sure that you're reaching an engaged audience online. And that lean-forward experience online, hitting them with that message, and making sure that you're able to deliver that message to them. So, I think the important thing when you think about this display advertising and reaching that customer is making sure it's the right customer. And who is that right customer? Well, for your campaign, it's your customer, right? And with our network, we truly believe that you can reach them more effectively, more often, and in real time. And I'm just going to play this because I like the effective PowerPoint here that you can have with it. Look at the colors, it's really pretty. The key thing, and I'll talk about some stats in a second, that our network is going to provide huge reach. And I'll show you the stats for Singapore and Malaysia in a second, more so than all the other ad networks that actually exist here in region, right? But it's not just about reach, it's about deep reach. How many impressions can I actually deliver? And how can I frequency cap it, because I don't want wasted impressions. But can I actually touch that customer multiple times to make sure that my message comes across? Because with that multiple impressions and reaching that customer again and again, that's going to enable greater awareness and hopefully more conversions. So I just mentioned in the last slide, reach. And I just want to show you just really quickly here just some stats, because it's always good to have some numbers rather than just iStock photos and pretty slides, right? Both in Malaysia and in Singapore, you can see the reach of the Google Display Network, right? We really consider ourselves to be the largest we are the largest network here in region. And I keep on touching something, I'm sorry about that. And globally. So when you need to reach your audience, because reach is important online, right? Delivering a couple of impressions isn't going to have an impact. How do you make sure that you reach your audience at scale? And the reason that we're able to do this is because we have the publishers within our network to make this possible. Now for brand campaigns, and if you're brand sensitive, we have those premium websites, whether they're global brands like the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, or even local publishers that provide that sort of premium experience like Malaysia Today. On our network, we actually serve more ads on large sites than any other network. Now, also online, like I mentioned, niche is important. There's that power of that long tail. How do you reach people where they're most engaged with content that's really specific to them and could be really specific to your campaign as well? And ton of like I said, also global players as well as local players on niche sites. And we've done a lot of studies here to actually show that consumers, when they're on niche sites, actually are 2 times more likely to look at ads on those niche sites because it's extremely relevant, or 4 times more likely to spend time interacting with those ads. And I don't think this should go without saying, all of this can be done on a global scale. The Google Display Network is able to tap into the fact that Google's a global company. And you can see the stats here, 200 billion ad exposures per month. Perry mentioned some other ridiculous stats as well. Close to 1 billion unique users that can be reached by the network, reaching close to almost 80% of the online internet population. So I wanted to share some of these stats with you to give you a sense of the size and scale of the Google Display Network. Now, talked about the vision a little bit, about making it simple, making it perform, and keeping it open, and talking to you and giving you some stats around what this Google Display Network is. I want to talk to you briefly about that product evolution and how we're thinking about that roadmap. And I think the key thing here that our product managers have thought about is we want to make sure that as we're developing things, we're driving and providing value at every stage of your campaign. And you're going to hear about these features a little bit more later today. But whether it's in that campaign planning phase, right, having to figure out where is my audience spending time online. Now, how do you go about finding that? You can pay for services, right, ComScore, et cetera. You know, Google Ad Planner, DoubleClick Ad Planner is a free service online to understand, here's my customer, where are they spending their time online? How do you take advantage of this audience fragmentation and actually figure out, in that fragmented audience, where is my audience spending their time? Targeting, you're going to hear a lot about targeting, right? How do you, once you know where your customer's spending time, how do I actually target my ad to them? Creative options, display, rich media, video, a whole slew of options. And you're actually hear in the next session about Display Ad Builder and some of the Twitter templates that we actually have. Really exciting ways of getting creative in this ecosystem. So whether it's in that campaign planning phase, execution and control, pricing, you name how you want to price it, whether it's CPC, CPM, CPA. I think the great thing about the network is that you get the choice and the flexibility to decide how you want to price your campaign. And an important thing, performance, measurable performance. What kind of reports are there? How do we give you guys more reports, more data, and not just data, but insights that are going to help me optimize my campaign. All of this resulting in that performance across your advertising needs. Don't bother with the bullets here. You're going to hear a lot about it in more detail in a second. So some of that is the product evolution. What I want to talk about is, from those products, how do we think about a solution? And as marketers, we always think about that marketing funnel. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we really believe that performance can take place across a variety of different marketing goals. Whether it's upper-level marketing goals of around awareness or lower-level marketing goals, I actually want to drive that purchase. And I want to just take 1 second here to talk to you about how you can think about how the network can work for a specific goal. You're going to hear about products and solutions. Think about this solution. Let's say I'm a car manufacturer and I'm launching a brand new Volkswagen, let's just say. Obviously, I'm running TV, I'm running billboards. How do I make sure to reach a lot of people online? And how do I do it efficiently? How do I make sure that my online campaign is an efficient performance play? And what you'll see here was something called the Google Display Network Blast. Right? Here's a product that matches to that solution. You can actually reach over 100 million impressions within a very short period of time. Right? I mentioned almost 80% of the internet can be reached in Singapore and Malaysia. You saw the stats with the network. How do I blast in a short period to share all that? And we've seen a lot of success in the US around these kind of campaigns, delivering effective CPMs, 50% of what a portal buy can be. Right? So whether it's replacing that portal buy or whether it's supplementing that portal buy to drive down that efficiency, to drive down that effective CPM, a great way to reach a lot of people with your message. So I talked for, I don't know, maybe the right amount of time, maybe a little bit over. Sorry. What's next? Hopefully you took away a few things from the presentation. But if I have 3 things to leave you with, it's these 3 things. You're going to hear a lot of details around products and features over the next few minutes. Take one thing away from each one of the sessions, whether it's a specific template within Display Ad Builder, a specific tool a specific targeting technology. Take one thing away from each session that you can bring back to your office. The second, as you're listening to these things, think about specific campaigns that you're either running right now or specific clients that you've been talking to that can take advantage of some of these technologies and begin to think about that. And the third thing is, after you've thought about that, set up some time with your account teams to brainstorm a little bit more detail about how the Google Display Network can work for some of your campaigns. So with that in mind, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to talking with you later.